Good morning, 7 East. Happy Monday, everybody. It is our last week until spring break, where we all get to be home on vacation, even though we've been doing that already for the past 2.5 weeks. So to get you started on this Monday, I got a short episode of Free LEPRE Radio. We are on the air, and as for our agenda and objectives for today, here's what we got. Audience Q&A. Got a few questions you've been asking me on the forums or in person through the Google Meets. Second item on our agenda, the directions for the Bill of Rights assignment, which is assigned today, due Wednesday, and an example of how to actually start it. So if you're someone who is often confused about how to get started on these assignments, watch this video. I will show you how to get started and what to do with it. And 3, our fun segment of the day, Weird News. Real life news stories that I found that show you that the real world is actually stranger than fiction. So let's get right into our Q&A. Audience question and answer. What happens with our MGA if we don't go back to school in person this year? Well, that is a good question. And first off, I think we will be back in person, but if we are not, I'll set a new calendar to get it done. And if you did something physical that you would normally bring into school, you can take a picture of it. If it's digital, you can send it to me. So we will find a way to get this done. I don't want your work to be for nothing, so I do want to make sure this gets counted at some point. I think we'll be back in person, and I think that will be fine, and we can bring our projects in person, but if not, this is what I'm planning, and you'll learn more about that as we go further. Second question. Were Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay at the Constitutional Convention? Well, from our murder mystery, you should know that at least 2 of them were, but as a matter of fact, no. Only Hamilton and Madison were at the Constitutional Convention. John Jay was not. Jay wasn't a delegate, but instead he had the job of Secretary of Foreign Affairs, which meant he managed America's relationships with foreign countries. This was during the convention. This didn't stop John Jay from supporting the ratification of the Constitution, though, because he was one of the 3 writers of the Federalist Papers, along with Hamilton and Madison. Third question. Do we get penalized if we are not at the Google Meet? No. I know we have different schedules and things we need to do at different times. I know many other teachers of yours are having Google Meets near the same time as I might be having them. The meets are check-ins to say hi, ask questions, or get any help you might need. I'm trying to host them regularly at 1:15 on Mondays and Fridays. I tried to find a time that was open multiple days. Monday and Friday, 1:15 was open, so I took it. And if we need more, I can do more as needed, maybe a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We'll see going forward what we need. Can we still do GIM kits online? Yes! Some of you mentioned this or asked about this on the Google Meet on Friday. On Tuesday and Thursday of this week, I am planning GIM kit games that everyone can join. I will make an announcement of when, and then post the entrance code on Classroom. It will be set so that you can join even after it has started, if you are a bit late. And because I'm not doing separate classes, we'll do top 10 our owed candy when we get back. And then we'll do reverse order. So first place gets 10 pieces, 10th place gets 1. So top 10 will be for any of those people who happen to join our GIM kit. And of course, you can use any materials you have in front of you to use to help you with the GIM kit. Are we still having spring break next week? Yes, as I kind of mentioned already. Over the weekend, there was an announcement made that spring break is still scheduled for next week. That means after this Friday, you're officially on break until Monday, April 13th. And you won't be assigned any work by me. So we've got 5 days. Let's stay focused and strong throughout these 5 days. You have 2 more assignments. Make sure that we're doing them, doing quality work for them, and also make sure that any missing assignments are also in. Because by this Friday, I'm going to pretty much have to have every assignment in and call those who have not turned in certain assignments to make sure we're all at a place that we can bridge off to our next unit. That was the last of our questions. Now the directions for the Bill of Rights assignment and example of how to start it. So I'm going to X out of my presentation for now. And you're going to open up this document, Bill of Rights Simplified Assignment. And the directions are right up top for you. It says, using the slideshow on Google Classroom, flip through each of the first 10 amendments, also known as the Bill of Rights, to the U.S. Constitution. For each amendment, abbreviate and narrow down the description to the basic right or freedom that is being protected by the amendment. So to rehash some old material, remember when we did the compromises, one of the compromises, the Massachusetts Compromise, some people who were against the Constitution wanted a Bill of Rights added to it. The agreement that was made was that the Constitution gets ratified as it is, and the Bill of Rights gets added as amendments. This is the series of amendments that was added to be called the Bill of Rights, Amendments 1 through 10. So you're going to go to the slideshow, and the slideshow starts like this, the Bill of Rights, simplified, and I put the essential information in purple. That does not mean you have to write everything in purple. It means that the only things that you should be taking notes on are stuff that appears in purple, and you can abbreviate even more. So for example, just to show you, the First Amendment protects a lot of freedoms. Freedom of speech, you have the right to say what you want. Freedom of religion, you have the right to believe and practice any religion you want. Freedom of the press, you have the right to report on things and the government can't stop you just because it doesn't like what you're saying. Freedom of assembly, you have the right to meet with whoever you want. The government can't ban you from meeting in groups. And lastly, freedom to protest and start petitions as well. So all these freedoms are protected by the First Amendment. I'm not going to write all of this stuff in my chart. I'm going to simplify this, and easiest way for me to think about doing this is just to say the basic freedoms: speech, religion, press, assembly, protest, and petitions. So I'm going to write that here. Rights or freedoms being protected: freedom of speech, religion, press, assembly, protest, and petition. That is all you would have to write. Now, if there's something you don't understand, like if you don't know what it means to petition, I would also write what that means. So a petition in this case, meaning you have the right to kind of complain to your government and demand action about things. So people talk about starting petitions all the time, getting signatures for something. So they're saying you have a right to complain and issue grievances with your government. So if you don't know what the right actually is, I would also add that as part of it. So freedom of speech, religion, press, assembly, protest, and petition. Let's take a look at Amendment number 2. But first, I also, on this slideshow, I have examples of how they work in action. So for example, the First Amendment in action, if the government says you can't say that, well, if you're a knowledgeable American, you're going to pull out that wild draw 4 card, or a reverse card. I wish I had the reverse card, because it probably fits better for this. And you say, well, it's my First Amendment right that I can say whatever I want, freedom of speech. And the government, of course, repelled in intense shock because First Amendment protects your rights and the government can't do anything about it. What about Amendment number 2? Let's take a look at Amendment number 2. Amendment number 2, the right to bear arms. You have the right to own guns. The states have the right to create militias using those who live within the state. Today we call these militias the National Guard. So there's two things being protected here. Right to bear arms. I want to simplify that, though, because no one uses that phrasing anymore. You have the right to own guns, and the states have the right to create militias. That means that you don't just have to rely on the U.S. Army to protect you. Each state can have their own militia as well. We call them the National Guard, and it's actually very relevant today. With all the stuff that is going on with the quarantine and self-isolation, the National Guard is being pulled in to help, shipping medical supplies and things like that. So they're often used, most often actually, in natural disasters and emergencies. The states call in the National Guard. If you remember years ago, Hurricane Sandy and all that, National Guard was called in as well to help out with the relief, and they're helping now with all this coronavirus stuff. So Amendment 2 protects the right to own guns and the right to have a militia for the states. Now, what does it look like in practice? Let's say the government tried to say that all guns are now illegal, Nerf guns included. Well, if you're a knowledgeable American, you whip out that wild draw 4 card, that reverse card, and you say, my Second Amendment rights. Government, again, repelled in intense shock. And if the government keeps trying to abuse your rights in this case, you can go to court and sue the government, and you can actually win it. Many people have done it. But they don't win often, because the government likes to be right. So those are the examples of the first 2 amendments, how you're going to fill them out in your chart. And you do similarly for amendments 3 to 10. So you can see how I simplified it down. There's a lot of text. And I just simplified it 1 and 2. Now, tomorrow, I am also going to, as part of tomorrow's episode, talk about more common cases or questions you might have about what the exceptions to these rules are, or what these rights actually look like in the 21st century. So that should be interesting for tomorrow. If you ever plan on getting arrested, I hope none of you do, but if you ever plan on getting arrested, tomorrow's show and today's activity might actually be a big help to you to know your rights and know where the government has to stop when it comes to dealing with you and your freedoms. So that's the basics of the assignment today. Let's go back to our slideshow for the final segment of the day. And that is, I love to start Mondays this way. I think it's going to be a regular thing. Weird news. I scour the internet looking for only the weirdest stories that will appear about events that have happened in the news over the past week or so. And I can promise you these are very bizarre. Some of them seem fake, but they're not. Trust me. Weird news. Story number 1. Alright. Amid school closures, Japanese students held their own graduation ceremony on Minecraft, complete with a stage, proper seats, and even decorative plants. This really brightens my day. Students keeping their school spirit strong, knowing that they may not be able to meet in person, but they are meeting in a virtual world, maybe even a better world, Minecraft, because you can't catch anything in Minecraft unless it's a actual computer virus. I'm not even sure. But a Minecraft graduation ceremony. This is amazing stuff. My heart is lifted like a piece of redstone. Story number 2. For you Disney fans out there, how many of you have been binge watching Disney Plus? Well, Disney has become real life. Life has imitated art. Baboon and Lion's Cub's Lion King moment is probably not good for news for the cub. The safari operator who snapped the photo warned, I don't see a chance of this poor cub surviving. So it looks like here we have a real life enactment of Rafiki holding Simba up. Simba doesn't look to be all that enthused. Well, neither does Rafiki. But amazing stuff. It's kind of a recreation of the Lion King. I would imagine that this cub's parents are probably lying in wait, waiting to destroy that baboon. I wish we could see the sequel to this. Maybe we'll find out. I'm going to keep my eye on the story. But life is imitating art. The Lion King is real life now. Things are getting crazy out there. Not as crazy as things are in story number 3, though. So I would keep your eye on the sky because apparently toilet paper is getting delivered by drone nowadays. So a quarantine man got toilet paper delivered by drone in San Francisco, and it looks like it wasn't packaged quite right because it started to unfurl in the drone. But if you don't feel safe going outside, take to the skies and get your delivery of toilet paper via drone. I don't have a drone. I think I should invest in one. That might be the only way I get groceries soon. But those are your weird news stories for the week. I'm going to sign off now. Have any questions, please fill in the Google form. Make sure you finish the assignment. It is due on Wednesday. Keep an eye out for the GimKit games and Google Meets as well. Google Meet will be at 1:15 today, and GimKit tomorrow and Thursday, along with a Google Meet on Friday. So we kind of got a packed week. Let's focus. Let's make sure that we finish strong in this week before spring break. Have a good one. Mr. LEPRE signing off from Free LEPRE Radio.